What's up, kid? So I've been sick all week with the coronavirus, probably longer than that. And I had enough time to read this one book that I kept putting it off and putting it off. And I can honestly say I did not like it. It's Steal This Book by Abbie Hoffman. If the Mandela effect isn't playing tricks on me, I could have sworn the first time I ever heard about this book was on The Simpsons. It was Mona Simpson, I think, Homer's mom. She fell asleep on his couch and she had a copy of Steal This Book in her hands. And it's pretty accurate. The book is so boring it'll put you to sleep. If I didn't know any better, I could honestly say that's how they came up with that character of Mona Simpson. It's loosely based on all the nonsense that Abbie Hoffman is talking about. I'm going to go ahead and review this book, and then I'm going to tell you some red pill stories about my take on it, okay? Where do I begin? I noticed every now and then there's some idiot like Abbie Hoffman who thinks that he honestly thinks he's like the Paul Dano Riddler. He thinks that he's going to commit some kind of crime and everybody's going to fall in love with him and worship him for committing that stupid crime. There's been all sorts of people like that throughout history. Timothy McVeigh, the Unabomber, this guy, that guy, and it never works like that. Paul Dano Riddler, he was a movie character. That could never happen in real life. It's not going to happen. You figured if you'd see that it never worked, why would you keep trying to do something that's stupid? You know? Doesn't work that way. To me, from what I've seen, I could tell you a lot about somebody once I figure out what their real sense of humor is like. But that's just me, you know? And I was reading this book, and I realized a lot of things about this man. It's like, he has no kind of work ethic whatsoever. That's really feminine energy for a man to not want to work and want to be just getting by on his looks or thinking he could get by on his wits or whatever. I don't like people like that. I've met people like that. They went nowhere in life. Just like Abbie Hoffman. Let's see here. I could only imagine what it was like when the Vietnam War ended and America lost. How could America lose any war, let alone Vietnam? And America was really disillusioned. And there was a lot of books similar to the one that Abbie Hoffman wrote. There's another one that's really famous that comes to mind. And the guy has a lot of the same sense of humor too. Some of you guys know which book I'm referring to. It's really famous. It came out in the 70s. I'll give you 3 hints. But don't mention it in the comments, okay? I'm probably going to turn the comments off. But, in this one book, the author called himself the Jolly Roger. And he claims that he was like a CIA field agent, like before the 70s. And the biggest myth out of this book is that he teaches you how to get high off banana peels. And that's been debunked. You can't get high off banana peels. That's just an urban legend. Nobody could do that. And just like the Abbie Hoffman book, he keeps on saying like, well, I heard this might work, but he himself doesn't know, he hasn't tested it himself to see if something that stupid might work. Why would you expect somebody else to do something you yourself wouldn't do? That's horrible. That's stupid. In both of those books, the author thinks that just because you know how to make like a simpleton homemade freaking makeshift weapon, that automatically makes you like a gorilla or that you're smarter than somebody. That doesn't mean anything. Anybody could make a makeshift weapon with sticks or stones or something. It's dumb. That doesn't make you a gorilla. That doesn't make you a freedom fighter or anything, a patriot. That's not true at all. I don't know why anybody would think that. In reality, all the book, I would say about half the book, he's just teaching you how to do little petty practical jokes. Like just stupid little petty practical jokes. There was another author like in the 70s and 80s, he did books like that too. His name was George Hayduke. And all that stuff is outdated. All that stuff is outdated. It's not even smart or funny or anything. Who backed him up financially to write a book or publish it? That's a head scratcher. You can honestly get more educational value like in one of these tactical gun magazines. There's a lot more stuff in there that will teach you stuff that's actually kind of essential or valuable. But don't waste your time reading Steal This Book. It's garbage. I wouldn't recommend it at all. It usually takes me like a week to read a book. This one took me like 2 or 3. It was just that stupid. I kept falling asleep from how horrible it was. But I just kept reading it, thinking about this, like making a vlog about it. Another really crazy thing about Steal This Book is he teaches you how to steal free stuff. Basically, he says like if there's like a bar, try to go to a really fancy bar during like happy hour and try to steal the hors d'oeuvres or try to steal like the bowl full of like snacks or whatever. That's a bum. He's a scavenger. How can anybody look up to somebody like that? Alright, now for some red pill knowledge. I knew 2 men like that. That are like that are just like Abby Hoffman. They never worked a day in their life. They never did anything at all. One of these guys, you know how he makes money? When he really needs to make money, he'll be like a human guinea pig for like these lab tests. And they'll experiment with all these medications on him. And that's how he makes money. And if he did get a job, he would get a job that would last a few months. And this idiot never paid taxes until it finally caught up to him. He had like a stack of W-2s. He had to do taxes. He never did it. He's like, oh, I'm smarter than everybody, man. I'm way too smart for everyone. And then finally he gets a letter in the mail. Like, he gets his letter saying that he owes like at least $6,000 in back taxes. Now what's he going to do? And one of his little side hustles, what he does is he makes fake resumes. Like he'll type up like this fake resume. And then I guess if they really want to check up on the, what's that thing called? On the references, like he'll answer the phone and pretend he's like the boss or some kind of assistant manager or something. And I can't believe he wastes his whole life like that. He never finished anything he started. He never finished school. He went AWOL for the military. The guy's a joke. So if you could take anything away from that, let that be like the red pill knowledge I could give you. Don't be hanging around with guys that have no kind of work ethic. And his best friend was this guy that he's like my age and he's never had one job. And it's like he's always jealous of everybody that does work on themselves. He never worked on himself. He just sits there all day. And this guy has like the brain of a teenager. He thinks he's got the whole world figured out and he doesn't know anything at all. He's just talking out of his butt. This guy wasted a whole 10 years on doing nothing. He lives in a shack or a shed behind a burned down house. And because he doesn't know how to take care of himself, guess what? He's always getting himself thrown into jail. So at least he'll have something to eat. At least he'll have running water. It's all ego, man. Like Bruce Lee said, ego is just a lie we tell ourselves. So no, Abby Hoffman is not ahead of the curve. He's not the Paul Dano Riddler. He's certainly not any kind of freedom fighter. He's not going to cause any kind of... He poses no kind of threat to anybody. He's certainly not going to cause a political uprising. Don't waste your time reading garbage like Steal This Book.